Hi, welcome to NDE TV. I'm Peggy Robinson. Today's guest is Nevena Vuyovich. Did I say it right?
Yeah, Nevena Vuyovich is good enough.
Can you tell them where you're located?
I live in Podgorica. It's a capital of Montenegro.
Okay,
It's a small country at the Adriatic coast, and it's a part of the old Yugoslavia.
okay. All right. So, would you like to tell us about your near-death experience? And you can start wherever you like and take as long as you like, and then we'll
Yeah,
discuss it.
well, actually, since I was a kid, I knew somehow I knew that this world we can see is not that important as the world we cannot see. I grew up in a family which is not a religious kind of family. Actually, we lived in Yugoslavia was a communist country, and religion was in some kind forbidden, you know. But um, my parents were open-minded, and my father wasn't a classical atheist. He didn't believe in institutionalized religions, but as he knew to say, you know he would like to put his hands like this and say, there is some higher power that we cannot understand. So he knew there is something. He didn't believe in a God that is presented by the religions, but his soul knew that there is something more bigger, much bigger than it is represented. So first time when I had NDE, it happened in one town in Serbia. I was on a business trip with my colleague, and I had a kidney stone, and it started to move, and it hurts a lot. So I was in so bad condition that he took me to the emergency, and they gave me some medication, even if I told them, guys, I had this a few times before. These things you're giving me are not going to help. But they did it as they thought it should be done, and they were wrong. It didn't help me. And after 2 hours, when they saw that I'm still in a great pain, that they transferred me to urological clinic. And over there was a beautiful doctor, so gentle, so compassionate. And he asked me, oh, sorry, I have a little sinuses problem. And he asked me, what kind of medications did they give to you? And I told him this and this. And he said, okay, I will have to give you something much stronger, and it will help you for sure. I said, I know, I went through this thing a few times, and I know how the things go. So just do it, because I really cannot stand it no more. It hurts like hell. So he gave me a infusion, and through the infusion, he gave me some vitamins, some medications. And after a while, I felt okay. And I really felt the pain was gone, and I was okay. So he wanted me to stay in hospital, but I told him, you know what? Tomorrow morning, I'm flying back to Podgorica. I'll go from Niš to Belgrade to the airport, and I have a direct line from Belgrade to Podgorica. So I'm going home, and then I'll check with my doctor, and everything is going to be okay. He wasn't sure about that. He felt something, you know. But anyway, I was a mature person, and nobody can, you know, tell you what to do. So if you want to leave, nobody can stop you. And said, okay, I understand. Go to the hotel, but please, here is my number. I'll be here whole night because my shift is until 7 o'clock in the morning. And if anything happens, please feel free to call me and to come immediately. And I said, okay. And my colleague is like a lot of men are, you know, when something like that is happening, they are in a sort of panic mode. And he was so scared and he was confused, and I told him, don't worry, everything is okay. And we went to the elevator. Elevator came, we went inside, and immediately I felt some things. Due to my knowledge regarding the medicine, because I wanted to study medicine, I know a lot because I read a lot of professional medical books, you know. And I knew what was happening. I knew that it was an allergic reaction, and a very strong one. It's called anaphylactic shock. But usually it happens immediately when you get the thing can provide it. But in my case, it happened a little bit later. And with the last atom of my strength, I grabbed my colleague to his shoulder and told him, go back immediately. And the film stops at the moment. The second thing I see is that there are medical staff in panic mode, but there was a strange thing because I was looking them from the ceiling, and I thought, oh my God, what kind of a drug they gave me. They drug me so much that I'm having hallucination. I don't want to look at this. I don't want to look at this. And the vision part stopped, but I continue hearing them. And the doctor was asking, he was saying, look at how beautiful and young she is. Please hurry, give me adrenaline and give me herbazine urgently. Go back, go. You know, and after a while, I just opened my eyes and I saw a lot of unknown faces. I saw my doctor beside my right side. He was sitting on a chair. My hand was in his hand, and he was cuddling my hand, and he was kissing it. And he told me, oh, you beautiful. I thought that we lost you. And I had a smile from ear to ear. And I said, lost me, but why? Everything is okay. Why are you so in such a panic mode? You know, everything is okay. Listen, I have to ask you something. You know, I know what is the adrenaline you were asking for, but can you explain me what is that kind of Urbazone? What kind of medicine is that? And at that moment, they were shocked. The other doctor came from the outside. I saw him for the first time. You know, he was looking at my doctor and asked him, called him by his name and asked him, is this really happening? Is this possible to happen? This woman was dead. And from the right side, you know, there was a guy who was pulling the, it's like a thing, you know, where some medical equipment is put on, and on the top was the defibrillator, you know. They were preparing to shock me, you know, to make my heart beating again. But the higher power did it, you know, instead of them. So after that, uh, he asked me, could you please stay in hospital tonight, please? I said, I feel okay. I do not feel the need to stay, but I see that you are very, you know, that you are somehow scared because of all these things. And because of you, I'm going to stay till the morning. Don't worry. And I stayed till the morning. And in the morning, I went to the hotel, took my stuff, and got back to Podgorica. And from that moment, I always knew that there is another world which cannot be seen by the eyes, with these eyes, but is most important that this one that we can see. And since I was a kid, I had a specific kind of energy in it usually goes out from my hands. And I even remembered how I started blocking some things. When I was a kid, it was maybe 2.5, 3.5, something like that. Anyway, not more than 4. And I was at my granny's in Serbia because my mom is from Serbia. And her neighbor or friend, you know, came, you know, to chit chat a little bit, to have a coffee. And my granny was preparing a coffee in the kitchen, and we were sitting in the living room. And that woman was speaking about the terrible headache she has all morning, and you know, and I was so little. I'm still a little person. I'm 1.60 m. And because in here, I don't know in inches, because in Europe, we use meters, centimeters, and, you know, different kind of measure. And I was so little. And I remember that I stepped on something. I don't remember, was it a bed or some small chair? But I did it because I wanted to cuddle her hair. And I cuddled her hair for a while, and then I put my head under my hand on the top of her head. And after maybe a few seconds, my granny came into the room with the, you know, with the coffee and juice and all these things, you know. And this woman said to my granny, this kid put a hand on my head and the headache just went away. but she was so scared and confused. And my granny was also confused. And I saw some kind of a fear in their eyes. And the kid has not, cannot cannot logically resolve the things, in that age. So I considered it as something bad that I did. So that was the time that I started suppressing things. There are also a lot of different experiences, which I'm gonna talk a little bit later. Let me tell you about my second NDE now.
Okay.
I had one gynecological intervention, and everything went okay. And after it has finished, the nurse was taking me in the wheelchair to the room. And it was very strange. The room had 4 beds and it was empty. I was the only one inside. And in one moment, I felt a strong feeling in the bottom of my belly. Right up to the pubic bone. And I felt some like hot but pleasant. And I felt it going up. In that moment, I knew that I'll be gone. And I turned my head over my left shoulder. I had a smile from ear to ear. And I told the nurse, and now, my dear, I'm done. The film stops. Our illusion stops. And then something strange happened. I say strange because it's very different that a lot of people experienced. That's the reason I suppress it for a long time. I didn't go through any tunnels. I didn't see any lights. Everything was dark. But that darkness isn't unpleasant. A contrary. And 8 beings were waiting for me. The feeling that I had is that I peeked, like there is a hole on the top of my head, and that I just peeked from that spot and went into completely another world. Now I know that other dimension is for this single hair far from us, and we cannot see it by this eyes. And there were 8 of them, and in first moment I thought they are dressed in togas. It's a kind of an ancient wardrobe that all the Greeks and Romans wore, and Egyptians, and actually all the ancient people. But as they started to move a little bit, I realized that these are not any kind of a wardrobe. That is only my way of perceiving things. And then it has been shown to me that they are bluish light creatures It's a kind of a light that is bluish and violet, and it's just the things they are. And none of them wanted to show me their identity. Now I know why. The only one who showed his identity was my father, who was in that moment dead for 10 years. And he showed me his smile so that I know that it is him. And he was kind in the middle. And because my eyes were left in my body and my ears and my mouth, so I don't like to use words I saw, I heard. I prefer the word perceive.
I understand.
Yeah. And I perceive because the conscious is conscious. The consciousness is conscious. It doesn't need the eyes to see, nor the ears to hear, not any of these senses we have. And he told me that I am okay, that everything is going to be okay, that I'm on the right path, that I shouldn't be worried. He also told me that now he knows about some things I was telling him while he was alive. And after that, I heard a voice. It came from my right side. And it was so loud and clear. And in the same time, it was gentle but authoritative. And the voice just said, it is not your time. You have to go back. And like 100 megatons pushed me into the same spot on the top of my head. And because I was laying down in the bed, because when it happened, they took me from the wheelchair on bed. They were starting to prepare all the medical equipment, etc., etc. And when I woke up, I went into sitting positions right away. And I started to curse a little bit. And I'm not a type that curses a lot, and I said, damn, it's not fair. They got me back. I didn't want to go back. It's not fair. I want to go, and there were a lot of doctors, a lot of medical staff, nurses, and even a guy, I suppose that he came from the operational room because he was all covered with blood and his gloves were covered with blood, and he was standing like this, and everybody were looking at me with the eyes wide open. And they were shocked. They didn't expect that something like that can happen because they were also preparing defibrillator and all kinds of equipment, And the only person who knew that something very important and something, should I say, mystical happened was the lady, the nurse, who was taking me in the wheelchair. She was the only one who was completely calmed down. She was so peaceful, and she had a little smile on her face. I'll never forget her face. And after that, it took me 2, 3 years to integrate all these things, to accept some things, because when that happened, I was going through a very, very hard period of my life. And honestly, I wanted to leave. I was so tired of living a life which is not a life. That was something what was imposed by certain beliefs and concepts, and I was struggling so much and I couldn't stand it no more. And a year after this happened, something else very important happened, because that period lasted for several years. And I had a very beautiful and close connection with my father. He was pure soul, so gentle, so full of understanding, never judgmental. He had understanding for everything. He was so famous, you know, he was a scientist. But he never cared about money, about status in society. He was so simple man, and I learned a lot from him, and I missed him a lot because he died suddenly. And I knew that he is going to go home that way. He had a heart attack, and boom, it was gone. It was done. And I remember the moment standing, because in the apartment that I was living at the moment, it was after the divorce, his picture was in the wall, you know, and I was standing in front of the picture, and I told him, Dad, I cannot stand this no more. Please let something, how should I say that? Something fresh me, and I did it with hand like this in the right side, because I cannot live like this no more. It has no sense, you know. Few days after that, a terrible headache woke me up early in the morning. And since I was a kid, I had headaches. After I had a car accident, the headaches got stronger and stronger. For example, from 30 days in a month, I had headaches for 26 or 27. And the pain was unbearable. But that pain was teaching me something, and I will explain you what. Let me finish the story about the picture and the dad. When I woke up with that headache, I knew immediately that something serious is happening. I went to the bathroom. I was puking and puking, and and it lasted for a half an hour. I couldn't stand on my feet. I crawled somehow to the living room, and there was a big chair, and I somehow I managed to sit in that chair, and when I sit there and just take a rest a little bit, the film stopped. When I woke up, the headache was gone. I felt great and so happy. Couldn't explain why. And there was a bottle with juice standing on the table. And I went with my right hand to take the bottle, but the hand didn't want to listen. Immediately, I knew that I had some kind of a stroke. Immediately, I knew that it was meant to be. Immediately, I knew that I will have no consequences because of it. Like a download. I just knew it. I went to the emergency and explained what happened. And the lady doctor who was in the shift told me, oh, that's nothing. Even if I told her my family anamnesis, because my grandma died because of the stroke. My father had a heart attack. There is a history of some cardiovascular problems. My father's brother has a daughter also, who is much older than me. She had a heavy brain stroke when she was 33 years old, and she's a doctor. She's a medical doctor, and it happened while she was at work at it's called VMA in Belgrade, because they live in Belgrade. It's a military medical center, a great one of the best in the Balkany, maybe one of the best in the Europe, with a lot of great experts. And it saved her life because they took her immediately to the operating room, and she was operated by a very good professional, an expert for that specific kind of problem. And he was there. So it was a real miracle. Nobody believed that she will survive, but she did. And even I explained all these things to the lady, she didn't want to take these things in consideration, and she told me, no, you're just imagining things. That is some kind of spine problem in the neck part. All the women has it, And I saw that she doesn't want to help me. I knew that I'm not going to die. So I was waiting for my doctor to come back from the vacation. And for 10 or 15 days, I was practicing my hand, and I was doing some exercises. I don't know how I knew them, but I just knew them. And I did it. While she got back, and when I go to her for examination, my hand was doing normally, the only thing was because one nerve is innervating the whole hand, and until this part. Here, it separates in two parts. The one is innervating these three fingers, and the other is innervating these two fingers. These three fingers were like that, it felt like you got the anesthesia, some kind, you know. They were working, but not properly. But I knew that everything will come in its place. And she did some kind of examination when you close your eyes and then you touch your nose with your hands and a lot of different things. And after we finished that, there was an old doctor inside her office also, and the two of them just look at each other. And she said, "Who's with you?" I said, "Nobody. I'm alone." "How did you come here?" One part by taxi, one part by foot." She was shocked. And she told me, "You have to go to the hospital, to the neurosurgery immediately." I said, "I know. That's the reason I came to you, to give me a piece of, because you need to have a piece of paper from your regular doctor so that you can go to the specialist." And I said, "I know. Everything is okay. Don't worry. I won't die." And I was smiling all the time because I knew that this was the beginning of the end of one hard and dark circle in my life. I went to the hospital. First, they did a scanner. The scanner showed that there is something. They also did the magnetic resonance examination. And finally, they got to the diagnosis. They realized that I have cavernoma. Let me explain like this. It is benign tumorous malformation of a vein, not the artery, the vein. And it is this big, 1.5 centimeters, radius. So it is this big, like I don't know, some fruit, like a big plum. And they wanted to leave me in the hospital, and I asked the doctor, "Could you please explain me? What can you do regarding this state?" And he said, "Well, actually nothing. So tell me, what is the point for me to stay in the hospital?" And he said, "Something can happen to you maybe." And I said, "You mean that I can die? Don't worry, it doesn't hurt. And I'm not going to die. It is not my time yet. So please, I understand that you cannot let me from the hospital just like that, because you can have some consequences because of it." And it was around 2 p.m. and the medical staff, the chiefs, they work from 7 till 3 p.m. And I said to him, it is 2 o'clock already. You should prepare all the papers for me to sign that I'm leaving the hospital by my own will. But please be quick, because your boss is going to leave, and he also needs to sign this paper, and the guy was shocked. And I was laughing all the time, and he couldn't he felt that something unusual and strange is happening. He didn't know how to explain it because he's an official medical doctor, but he felt that something mystical is happening there. And I told him, don't worry, you'll see me in around a year, and you'll see how the things are going to change. And he said, okay, I would like to see that. After a year, I came to for a control. Actually, one professor from Belgrade flew to Podgorica because of me, because he wanted to meet that little Montenegrin, because we are very tall people. After the Dutch, the Holland people, we are the tallest people in the world, and I have only 1.60 meters. And he wanted to meet that small Montenegrin woman who has that kind of diagnosis and didn't have any single symptom that it should occur when you have something like that. For example, I don't have epilepsy. I never lost my consciousness just like that. I didn't have a lot. For example, there are 100 things that I should have, and I don't have any single of them. My headaches were not connected to that. The root of my headaches was something else. And when he flew to Podgorica second time, I told him in the beginning that I'm not going to take all the pills they want me to take, that I want to live as a human until my time comes, that I don't want, I took these pills for maybe 10, 15 days. And I wake up in the morning smiling, full of energy, and when I take those pills, in a half an hour, I become like this. Like a plant. And I didn't want to become a zombie. I wanted to live my life normally. It doesn't matter if it is a month, a year, 10 years, 50 years, but I want to live it as a human. I don't want to become a zombie. And when he saw all the results from magnetic resonance, first it was after 3 months. And when he saw it, he said, Nevena, I know that you don't take the medications we suggest that people with this kind of condition should take. And I don't know what are you doing, but whatever are you doing, please continue. I was healing myself in completely other way. I was healing my traumas, bad concepts which were imposed to me or by family or by society. Lucky I am, I wasn't suppressed with religion things, you know. So it was, it makes things easier, you know, because I never believed in a punishing God. Because a creature, a being that created the whole universe that has no end, and created that much of life and beautiful things, cannot, by a logic, cannot be a punishing force. We are the ones who are punishing ourselves. Yeah. Do you have some questions? Because I see that you're listening very, you know, patiently what I have to
So did it
say.
clear up? Did it go away?
The headaches. Oh, listen the story about the headaches. Maybe a month after that happened, I was driving in a car with my best friend, whom I know since we were kids. We know each other since we are 7. And our parents were friends, still are, our mothers. And he is a beautiful soul. And we were just driving, you know, we didn't have a specific target, you know, where to go. We just driving, you know, and talking. And in one moment, I saw myself in front of myself. Once I had a very long black hair, dark brown actually, until maybe 4, 5, 6 years ago. I cut it, you know. And it was extremely long. It was down my back until the end of the spine, that long. And I saw myself in front of myself, dressed in wardrobe of Northern Indians. And I saw a great, great pine tree forest. And it was me. I was looking at myself from a past life. Actually, I think it's parallel. There is no past, future, that's only an illusion. Everything is in now. And she had an arrow in that part of head where I have the cavernoma. And I got the download that I was a chief's daughter, that I went into wars, you know, hand in hand with my father, that I was very courageous, but I was killed, but not in a battle, that there was some kind of a betrayal by a very close person, and that's how my life ended then. After that, the headaches stopped. After that, I never ever had that kind of a headache. Sometimes, because I'm a meteopath and I register those changes in outer pressure, atmosphere pressure, you know, but it's physics. It's nothing mystical. It's physics. So, and sometimes before my cycles, you know, because of the hormonal reactions, I know too, but it's not a classical headache. It's just like some strange feeling here. It's a little bit unpleasant, but you know, nothing special. But those kind of headaches, never again.
You know, I never understood. I really don't still understand that how we can feel that pressure, because I was working the pipeline with my husband one day and they were filling the pipe up with water to see if there was leaks before they put the gas in when we got the thing all put together. And
Yeah.
when they started filling it up with air, with water, whatever they were doing, I felt the pressure. And I'm like, and they were like wondering how far it went in the pipe. And I said, I can tell you exactly where it's at in the pipe because I feel the
Yeah.
pressure.
Yeah.
And every time they would do that, I'm like, there it goes again. Now I don't know if I can even describe what it felt like. It's like I could just feel the pressure building inside the pipe. And I'm
Yeah.
like, you guys can't feel that? They're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, they're feeling it now because I can feel it. Like, shh. I could
Yeah.
feel the pressure. Like nobody else there could feel it. I'm like, this is weird. You know, I think it
Yeah.
has something to do with storms, like when you can feel a storm coming, animals react. And I think it's
Yeah.
kind of like that. You can feel a change in the air when a storm's coming.
Correct.
It's like
It's
that.
because it's physics. There is something which is called the negative ions, and they are very helpful for our organism, and we feel it. That's the reason people like to be beside the water, no matter if it is a sea, if it is a lake or a river, or they like to take a shower, you know. That's the reason we like water, because beside the water, there is much more negative ions than in the places they have no water. So it's physics. It's our biological part of being, you know,
It
our
must be just like
physical part.
sensitivities. People have different sensitivities to things. So,
Correct. I was short-sighted and I had a problem with one part of my eye and it needs to be operated. But when they operated, they made the sightness go, you know, that short sightness go. It is a classical laser operation, a modern type of laser, and it went very good. After that, the light, because the light comes in our body in two ways. The one is by the skin, and the other is through the eyes, and it is very important. That's the reason the people who live in dark places with no enough sunlight know to feel depressed or anxious. That's the reason, for example, one of the torturing ways in all those secret services all around the world is putting you inside a completely dark room where is no single photon.
and just let you go crazy.
Yeah, and it makes people go crazy. And it's normal because we need that kind of energy. After that operation, the light when it comes into my eyes, it started to fell down on the place where it should be. And after that, something started to happen. I had a lot of different experiences because of that. And then I have realized that my short seeing wasn't just like that. It was meant to be. You know, there are a lot of experiences that we literally program before we incarnate. People usually ask, so where is the free will then? This is my answer. You have programmed the experience. The experience happens. By your free will, you choose how are you going to react to that kind of experience. The free will is one of two biggest and greatest concepts of the universe. The one is universal love because it is a kind of energy which it is a creative kind of energy. Everything is made by love and of love. And the second greatest principle is the free will. We don't have free will just in this illusion of reality. We have free will in other dimensions, in other places. It is something it cannot be broken. Do you agree?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I've had two near-death experiences too, and there was my input in it as well as someone else's input from the other side on both of them. It was like I had choices, but yet there was like a guardian that was controlling things too. Kind of like a
Yeah,
parent watching a child play. You go play, but I'm watching you because you're not allowed to do this or that. I am
yeah.
control. It felt
The
like that.
voice, because I have chosen some things before the incarnation. The voice who said to me that it is not my time and I have to go back, it wasn't his will. He was just taking care that my will is fully respected.
Mhm. But yet, you know, you hear that so much, you know, my time. And I heard it was my time on my second NDE, that the answer was no, I couldn't go back. And I continued to plead my case and cry and everything. And I was sent back for a short amount of time to see, give me a little more time to see if my doctor would fix me. And finally in the morning, he came back in and he did. But it was clearly not under my control. I mean, my control was my pleading, my anger, my acceptance, my
Did you
resolution.
know
Hmm?
how the free will works? And when you give the arguments which cannot be suppressed, your free will must be respected. It's the universal law.
Yeah, it feels like it's under consideration, is how it felt. Like it was under consideration, even though the answer was no.
Because you have decided to go in that point. But some things changed.
Mhm. And you know, and some NDers will say, no, I'm not going, and bam, they're back. And like
Yeah,
you, like, I don't want to be here.
yeah. And this is so small and so dense. when I was a kid, I had a lot of dreams where I am not flying, but moving through the space without a body. Now I know why. I had a lot of incarnations in the places which are not a physical part of the universe. Now I understand it. I got a lot of downloads, and so much things were explained to me in a very simple way, you know, and I'm so grateful for that because as you, I like to help other people because I understand their struggles, their pain, their suffering, the wishes from their heart. But the one simple thing that people don't see is how the free will is important and strong. You can do literally miracles only by using your free will. I was reading because I'm a I'm a walking library. My parents put that seed inside me, you know, that the knowledge is in the books. It only depends on you. And I took that advice and I read since I was a little kid. I even learned few languages. I was speaking English with maybe 11, 12 years, like I was studied it, you know, at the university. Now I know where those talents come from, you know, because I'm a sum of all my past lives. And I know that I have a certain connection with England and in one part of the Northern America, the Northern Indians. It's very unusual thing that I found out maybe 2-3 years ago. One of my neighbors, he was an old guy, and he was a very good man and beautiful soul. He called me a little chigra. It's that thing you put around like this, boo, and it's spinning like
Okay.
crazy.
A
What's the
top.
name?
We call it top.
Spinning top.
Mhm.
Yeah. And he called me little spinning top, you know. And when I was reading some historical books regarding the Indians, because I was very much interested in it after that experience with seeing myself in front of myself, you know. But it wasn't a dream. It happened in a completely conscious state. And I was reading something about Pocahontas. Do you know what's the meaning of Pocahontas?
What?
Little spinning top. And I just got that wow moment. Wow. So there is something, there is a connection. For example, when we were kids and watching those Western movies, where you have cowboys and Indians. I was always on the side of the Indians.
Yeah.
Because it's their land. White people came there, they took their land, their resources, they killed incredible number of those people that it's unimaginable that people can do these things to each other. I was always a pacifist. I never considered war as something which can make something good. And in Balkany, we had a lot of wars. You know, we are very old part of the world. And a lot of conquerors came here because we are like at the crossroads between the East and the West. And everybody wanted to have this small part of land. And I was always asking, why? Why these people want this small country, and what is there, what is so important for them? Now I know. We have certain codes in our genetics which can help people to literally wake up from a dream state they are living.
Is this a blood type?
Not just, no, not the blood type. It's a certain genetics which is very, very old. Very old. I'm
Like the
talking about
Mayan?
something like that. Something like that. Maybe even older. Because by the official science, the two oldest people in the world, in the Europe, are Basque, the people in Basquia.
Okay.
It's a part
Okay.
of Spain.
Okay. Mhm.
And the people in here, uh, Montenegro, Old Herzegovina, and the part of Dalmatia. And when I analyze those people, I see that somehow they are immune to external imposures. For example, when COVID happened, I immediately knew that it's a lie. First of all, I told you that I'm a scientific type. I never take things for granted. This is a scientific fact, and I read it in a book which is meant for a medical university. And there it says, influenza type A, that is what we call flu, happens because of the next pathogens. Number one, coronaviruses. And then, you know, numbered around 100 types of it. So it is not something that is new. It is something very old. But somebody wanted to test the humanity, how we'll react. You know, that's the reason we went through a lockdown, and you still
Yeah.
have people wearing masks.
Yeah. It seemed like a trial run of mass control. See how we
Correct,
react.
correct. You
So they
know,
know what
there
to do differently next time.
they cannot succeed because of a simple fact. The media is, it's a great propaganda. And because of that, a lot of people think that there are more those kind of people that there is, in fact.
Mhm. Yeah, when they're paying the
Small
hospitals for
number,
each diagnosis, death.
small number of people are ruling this world. And I call them a small bunch of sickos. I was asking myself for a long time, how is it possible that a person who is very well educated, who is a good person, a decent person, who has a correct value system inside, moral codex, cannot be enormously rich? How is that possible? Now I know. If you want to be part of those circles, you need to be some kind of a sicko. For example, you can see how many people from these circles are pedophiles. This is a fact.
Yeah.
We all know now about Prince Andrew.
Mhm. Did you watch Sound of Freedom movie come out last week? It's about child trafficking.
No, but I read a book a long, long time ago. It's called Where All Those Kids Disappear. It was written by a woman whose parents were in some kind by generations. It started with her grandparents. They were in some kind of satanistic cult. The first person who raped her was her own father, and she was maybe 3 years old. And after that, he started to give her to other people. And her mother also, not just that she knew about it, she was in it. But that woman wake up. She just woke up. She woke up. And she knew that she has to do something for the children, that she owns them that much. And then she wrote a book. And it was an unbelievable story. I was shocked how your own parents can do something like that. But it's a negative matrix which was inherited, you know.
Mhm.
So there are a lot of these things happening, unfortunately, but nothing lasts forever.
Yeah.
In one point, it has some change has to happen.
Yeah. People are going to
It's
have to stop being so giving up of the immorality that we are getting accustomed to. Stop being accustomed to the immorality because it seems like it's crossing the line. And it's like
the
time for people to take a
people will
stand.
understand what is ego and how the ego functions.
Yeah.
When they realize that, the things are going to happen just like that. And as I can see, a lot of people are waking up from a
Good.
dream state because they ask, you know, when you ask a right question, you got the answer.
Yeah.
They ask themselves same thing I asked myself in one point of my life. Is this life? Is this what it is? Is this everything? To
Yeah.
work from dusk till dawn?
And it's so good to have YouTube
Pay
where people
energy,
like
to
us can
pay food,
stop. Mhm.
you know, and you are constantly going in a circle, you know, around the same things, and you cannot find the way out. The people have to understand that it's a ruling system. And they, this, this is especially regarding the Western world. That kind of imposure that you cannot survive behind the system, without the system. It's not the truth. You have your healthy body. You have your healthy hands. You can find a piece of land, grow some potatoes. You can buy a few chickens, have some eggs. You can buy a cow and have some milk. The people are not aware how little is needful
Yeah.
for a living.
Yeah.
And they
Families
just
used to live
want
isolated.
more and more and more and more. That's an ego construct that is imposed by the bunch of ruling sickos.
Well, we sure got
But
off topic today.
a lot of people are starting to understand these things because I hear from a lot of people who were, you know, people who like living in city, you know, constant worry about the money, constant race for having more and more and more. Now I hear those people speaking about, oh, I'm gonna leave everything this, you know. I'm gonna find a piece of land, make a small house, have my own vegetables and, you know, fruit. And I'm just going to live like that. I don't need this shit no more.
All
The
right. Well,
people
we
who
got to
were
get off here. We got to
10
get.
years ago, those people were speaking about the system in a positive way. And now it's completely reversed.
Okay. Was there anything else you wanted to cover before we're done? We need to get off here. It's been almost 2 hours.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, the
Yeah.
time flies. Well, like a message to the people. Believe in your inner voice. Do not take for granted what the other people think or say. You are not a projection of other people. You are the consciousness which was, is, and will be forever. We are not the humans who are having some spiritual experiences. We are souls who are incarnating in these bodies to have human experiences. Please just reverse the paradigm. it is not like they say, in healthy body, there is a healthy spirit. No, in healthy spirit, there is a healthy body. Just turn the things around. Do not believe in the system. It never helped no one. If you have any medical problem, ask yourself, what is my body telling? What is my body trying to tell me? Because behind every physical illness, there is a mental, emotional construct that is making that physical illness.
I don't know.
You
I
can,
broke my leg Saturday and because there was a hole. I don't think my body's trying to tell me anything.
but, but that is trying to tell you something. To slow
Watch out for
down,
a hole.
you know, because you can heal yourself by resolving the emotional and mental drama,
That's not
which
going to
is,
heal my broken bone.
oh, it will heal faster
Yeah.
if you put your love and understanding to what happened.
10
It
years
will
ago, I
make
broke my
you
leg. This is my ankle. And the doctor, the orthopedic says, I've never seen anybody heal this fast ever. So I'm hoping this time it'll be the same way. I hope it'll heal really quick because I'm not
it
patient
will.
with this.
It will. So I would like to people to understand that this life we are living is an illusion of reality. We are not our bodies, not our minds. We are the consciousness that is the higher instance of our being. So the conscience is ruler, not the body and not the mind, because ego is a part of mind. Let me say this way. Ego is like water and fire. A very good servant, but an evil master. Don't let your ego make decisions for yourself. Let your soul make those decisions. That is that kind of feeling in a solar plexus part. We all have that feeling when, for example, something bad is going to happen. Or we have butterflies in that place when we are in love. That's the way we connect to other people. Listen to your inner voice. Listen to your heart. The heart will tell you what should you do. But you need to courage to do all those things in physical reality and just go for it. As it says in the Bible, if you believe, you can move the mountain. And these are not just empty words.
All right.
It's the truth.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Peggy.
And bye.